What's going on, guys? Andrew Piluk here, back again with another video today. We're going to be talking about a few different things in regards to the Toronto Maple Leafs. Where do they go from now? Do they use the cap space? Do they make a trade? Are they going after a top six forward? Are they going after multiple? Who are they trading? What's their cap space look like? We are going to continue to unwrap that. We're going to continue to unravel their plans. Hopefully we figure it out. And I want you guys to be involved in this, so make sure to comment down below. And if you're new here, make sure to like this video and subscribe. I would love to have you guys here all the time here on the Andrew Piluk Hockey channel. Now, it's kind of in the middle here, and I guess you can't really say in the middle. It's kind of still towards the beginning of the offseason, and the Maple Leafs have been relatively quiet. Now, the Ryan Reeves trade makes sense from a cap standpoint. They bring in Thrun, I believe, is how to pronounce the name correctly, and we made a video about that. Another depth defenseman, a guy that can be buried, his cap hit can be buried in the minors as well. And now you kind of look at their cap space and say, okay, how can you use this cap space relatively well while also not spending it just to spend it? And there's been a name that's been tossed around that I'm kind of interested in, but it depends on the price, and I'm sure you guys know it's been tossed around quite a bit, and that's Jack Roslovic. Now, Jack Roslovic, 28 years old, definitely a guy that can produce, but this is kind of where Sportsnet talks about his value, and he was in Carolina this past season, 22 goals, 39 points in 81 games, so again, a guy that can score some goals, but he fell out of the lineup when it mattered and got scratched for some playoff games, which, again, I'm not really over the moon about a guy being scratched in the playoffs, but good teams have to sit guys. And when you have depth, and I'm going to show this in a second, when you have depth, there's going to be good players sitting on your bench. Like, again, I know some people have their thoughts about, guys like Nick Robertson, but the guy scored like 16 goals this year. So you're going to have guys that score goals sitting on the bench. But the Leafs haven't had like Roslovic type of depth sitting on the bench in quite some time. But I'm sure the Maple Leafs wouldn't want to use him in that type of role. But he's a speedy, versatile guy, plays the wing. He can play both the center and the wing. And he's a guy that apparently the Maple Leafs have had some interest in, and they have enough cap space to be able to make this work. Now, I want to show this tweet that was included by Chase Allen. So shout out to Chase Allen 03, getting this tweet attached here on Sportsnet. So he plays a chippy game around the net, racks up scoring chances that haven't consistently translated, often on the right side of possession, which is good. The biggest question is, can he fill a top six hole on many teams that are looking to have that patch? Now, for me, I don't think the Maple Leafs necessarily need him to patch up a top six spot, and maybe Roslovic wants that spot. Maybe the Maple Leafs give him a shot in that top six spot. But I kind of want to bring up his numbers overall and kind of look at the way that he's been treated in his career and the way that he plays. So as you can see, he's had his minutes kind of all over the place. But this year, he didn't really play in a ton of ice time. This is comparative ice time to somebody I'm going to be talking about in a little bit. But 22 goals and 17 assists is nothing short of good depth. This is a good player that can play anywhere. He's scored 20 goals a few times or a couple times, and he's going to at least give you 10 to 15 goals. And the way I look at it is the Maple Leafs need to bring in as much depth scoring as completely possible. And the guy that I want to quickly bring up again is Nick Robertson. Now, he still doesn't have a contract. He's 23 years old. And the reason I'm showing you this is because I'm about to show you a Puck GM thing here on Puckpedia. But again, relatively the same, only 12 minutes of ice time, 15 goals, 22 points. But if you can see the way that Nick Robertson has been treated, the more he plays, the more games, the more minutes, the more points, and the more goals that he is able to put up. Now, obviously, he had a little bit less in terms of the assist department than the previous season, but if he's going to score goals, I could care less. If you score more goals, that's the way that I would like you to play, specifically because the Maple Leafs need goal scoring, and we saw that in the Florida Panthers series, and they obviously went on to win the Stanley Cup. But I want to show you guys kind of, and again, I always have to say this. I'm not saying this is what the lines are going to look like. I'm not saying this is what it should look like, but this is kind of the way I look at things. Let's say you bring in Jack Roslovic at $4 million for 3 years, okay? Now, again, that might not be what he's worth. There's been reports out there that he might be getting as low as 2.8. I don't believe that. I think it's going to be 3.5 plus. So if it comes in under 4, that would be great. And I'm not even saying the Leafs are interested. But this allows you a couple things. And you're also going to see I've signed Nick Robertson to $1.5 million. I've also traded David Kampf. And the Leafs' current roster, it has 22 of 23 players. Again, they could remove somebody from here. They could go with an extra guy if they wanted to. I also have Michael Pezzetta in the press box. I would imagine they put a defenseman there instead, because what could likely happen is Robertson in the press box as well, or somebody like Bobby McMahon or whatever. This is why I have been stressing that the Leafs need depth. Put Max Domi with Austin Matthews because they play well together, and Matthew Nyes, of course, okay? Michelli is going to get that first crack in the top 6 with Tavares and Nylander. I fully believe that's going to be the first start. Or do you even try Roslovic on that second line and drop Tavares down? I don't think so. And again, this is me saying that he signs in Toronto. I'm not guaranteeing that Roslovic is going to sign. I get crazy comments that people make me have to explain this 50 times. I'm not saying this is true. But this is what I call depth. And people are going to say, well, they're still not good. They still need another top 6 guy. Let me show you their cap space. $4 million. If the Leafs are going to go into the season with a roster looking like this, which could be possible. They could bring in a guy like Roslovic. They could just bring in Roslovic. This is at least depth. You have Nick Waugh that you brought in. You maybe bring in Roslovic. You have Scott Lawton for a full season. You have Michelli. You have Nick Robertson potentially. You have Pezzetta, who's not really depth. He's just a fighter, but he's in the press box. You have Thrun as an extra defenseman. You have, who's the other guy I'm thinking of, the extra defenseman? Philippe Myers. You have him as an extra defenseman. You have depth, and you still have $4 million to play with. And they could potentially have more. And the reason why, Calle Jarnkrok could get traded. That's another 2.1. Hell, Bobby McMahon. People are saying maybe the Leafs can sacrifice trading a Bobby McMahon. I personally wouldn't, because again, it's all about depth. But maybe that cap comes off. And the thing about the NHL trade deadline and the way that it works is you accumulate cap space until the NHL trade deadline. So that $4 million really turns into something more. And who's to say the Leafs can't do a money in, money out trade? Is Max Domi a guy that could get traded? That's $3.7 million. That's plenty to go out there and grab a guy that can play in that top 6. And they still might do that before the season starts. But what I'm saying is if you bring in guys like Roslovic, you traded David Kampf, you free up a little bit of money. You're trading a guy in David Kampf who virtually is just a shutdown guy that takes faceoffs for a guy that can score 15 to 20 goals, because you're getting rid of one to sign another one. I don't know if you get assets for David Kampf. Maybe you get a middle to late round pick. I'll take that, because you're essentially dumping cap space and you're bringing in a guy that can actually score and plays the way that the Maple Leafs kind of need. And imagine if you have a third line of Lawton, Waugh, Roslovic. That is a gritty, veteran-style line that can score, that can dish the puck, that can hit, that's got some speed. Or you can even put a Steven Lorentz up there and have Lawton as your fourth-line center. You can do a bunch of different things. You can have Bobby McMahon move up. Nick Robertson could move up depending the way he plays. Maybe Michelli gets bumped down. They try, a Lawton on the second line, or a Bobby McMahon, or a Roslovic on the second line. There is a bunch of different ways that the Maple Leafs could make this work. But when you remove a Mitch Marner contract, which again, I love Mitch. He was fantastic, but the relationship clearly was not working out. When you remove a big contract like that, you get Tavares on a cheaper deal. You can make trades like Kampf or Jarnkrok or Domi or whoever you think. I think the Leafs should keep Domi. He played well in the playoffs. You have opportunities to have true depth. And Easton Cowan is going to be trying to get a roster spot here. For sure, he's going to be trying to get a roster spot. So the Maple Leafs still have money. They still have ways to move around. Do you think that they should bring in Roslovic? Do you think that they should just trade David Kampf and keep that extra money? Do they sign Nick Robertson? Who do they go out there and get? I know that there's Nazem Kadri rumors again, but I've heard that there's two different sides here. One saying it's not happening. The other side saying it's a possibility. I have no idea. What are the Leafs going to do? What do you think they should do? Leave your comments down below. I'd love to hear from you. If you're new here, make sure to like this video and subscribe. Andrew Piluk Hockey, always reporting on the Maple Leafs. Hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Peace.